Chapter 9, Legal Environment of Business. Question 1. A life insurance contract does not involve an intended beneficiary. That's going to be false. We know that when someone gets a life insurance contract that it goes to someone, so it's a specific beneficiary. So we know that one's false. Question 2. An insurance policy is an example of a right that can be assigned. That's also false. Uh, for example, if you get an auto insurance policy and you've got a 4 or 5 speeding tickets, you can't assign your right to that policy to someone with a good driving record because it would be a cheaper rate. That 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 policy is assigned to you for a reason. There's things that go along with it, so it's not an assignable policy. Question 3. Anderson hires Pete's Dirt Company to provide 30 tons of dirt on a build in 6 months. During that time, sinkholes appear throughout the area, driving the cost of dirt up over 20 times the original agreed upon price. Okay, before we even go to the last sentence or the actual question here, we need to know and we need to understand that that's something that's happened that's beyond anyone's control. So a sinkhole appeared. It was of no one's fault. So the cost of dirt goes up 20 times the agreed upon price because of that. So there's nothing anyone can do about it. And when that happens, it takes away, it discharges a duty. So the question is, how could Pete discharge their contractual obligation? And that's the term that we're looking for is commercial impracticability. Commercial impracticability, because there's no way for that contract to be fulfilled because the dirt went up over 20 times the agreed upon price because of a sinkhole. Question number 4. App Developers Incorporated, ADI, enters into a contract with Carmen, the Chief Executive Officer of Sales Corp, to create an app for the firm. To fulfill the contract, ADI hires Max and 10 other student interns. With respect to the contract, Max is, and he's an incidental beneficiary because Max had nothing to do with the original contract. So Max he's not involved in the contract. There's nothing to do with it. So that, and I can see where some of those are confusing. Just remember the term an incidental beneficiary. That's a tough question. Question 5. Amanda hires subpar garages to build a new carport, but their work does not match what they agreed upon. Amanda hires built right garages to complete the carport. What can Amanda get back from subpar? In law, most of the time, you'll hear the term make whole. So the intention of law is to make the person whole again. So here, Amanda hired subpar to build a carport. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. So she hires Built Right to come in and complete the job. So what Amanda can get is the amount it took to complete the job. She can't get the work that subpar did for free because they actually did some work. So whatever it takes to finish the job that subpar didn't do is what she gets. Question 6. Clutch Auto Parts enters into a contract with Bio Health Club for discounted memberships for Clutch's employees. Bio breaches the contract and Clutch enters into a contract with Apex Fitness for the same service at a lower price. Clutch might be awarded nominal damages to, and the correct answer is established as a matter of principle that Bio acted wrongfully. Bio acted wrongfully. So again, it goes right back to making the person whole. Someone didn't fulfill the contract, they breached the contract, but at the same time, the law looks to make the person whole. You're not going to be rewarded because there's no damages other than someone not breaching or someone not fulfilling the contract. Question 7. Company A contracts with Company B to provide a service. Company B breaches the contract, and Company A is awarded compensatory damages. Why these damages? Well, the correct answer is to provide Company A the money they deserve from the bargained for exchange. This This and here I've got notes on this one. I'm just going to read it. Here, A is ambiguous and does not discuss any elements of law regarding contract. On page 269 of the textbook, it discusses compensatory damages. Many times the court looks to make the plaintiff whole, just as I discussed earlier, or as they were in the contract when they entered into it. So the reason these compensatory damages were awarded was to provide Company A the money they deserve from the bargain for exchange. And that's the exact answer. Question 8. Two restoration companies sign a contract to buy and restore a historic home. Neither party has begun to perform, and they agree to call the deal off together. This is also known as it's a mutual rescission. So, it's an actually kind of another contract. You both mutually decided to get rid of the contract, to rescind the contract so that the contract can actually be null and void. Question 9. Julius is a 32-year-old fit, non-smoking office worker who purchased a $1 million life insurance policy after a rigorous physical from the insurance provider. Julius attempts to assign his insurance policy to his friend Nero, who is a 60-year-old obese smoking stunt pilot. What will the insurance provider likely do? And that's kind of what we discussed earlier about the auto insurance. This is the same thing. You can't assign or transfer this this policy because it's two completely different people. So my guess is that Nero, who's a 60-year-old obese smoking stunt pilot, if he goes to get life insurance, it's going to be at a much higher rate than it is for Julius. So there's no way to transfer that. So the correct answer is not allow the assignment because the insurance is tailored to the original buyer's risk. The next question, Hurricane Matthew dumps 20 inches of rain on a local beet grower's crop, utterly destroying it. The farmer has a contract with a local grocery store. However, their obligation to perform is, and we're going to know that anytime, just like the sinkhole earlier, in one of the questions earlier, anytime a natural act or something beyond someone's control happens, most of the time that's a defense to the contract. So most of the time that's a defense and you can get out of the contract because of that. And just this one's going to be discharged because of the hurricane. Question 11, objective impossibility discharges a contract, and that's true. Objective impossibilities on page 267 of your textbook. Question number 12. Steph is the greatest basketball player on earth and agrees to provide 5 free throw shooting lessons to someone for a small fee of $20,000. Steph attempts to delegate this agreement to DeAndre, who is a below average free throw shooter. This attempted delegation will probably be, and this is kind of the same thing as the insurance. Steph can't let DeAndre do, because the agreement was for Steph. And Steph is one of the greatest free throw shooters of all time. So the correct answer here is going to be prohibited because Steph and DeAndre don't perform similarly at free throw shooting. So my guess is, or actually if Steph would try to assign or delegate the duties to someone that is as good at free throw shooting or better than he is, the assignment would, or the delegation would have been fine. But in this case, it's not. Question 13. A local college contracts with Big Mulch Gardening to complete landscaping around their new building. The contract specifically states that the mulch must be done with Osimo mulch. When Big Mulch gets started, Osimo mulch is sold out and back ordered for months. Big Mulch instead uses Vantisto mulch, which is almost identical to Osimo in both quality and price. This is a contract deviation, but what result? This one's a little confusing, especially if you haven't studied law. You would think that the specific arrangements would have to be met, but in this case, some of the words that they give you that matter are that they're going to be out for months. They can't get the mulch for months, and the mulch is also identical is almost identical to Alcimo, both in quality and price. So the outcome is not gonna be affected in any way other than the brand or where the mulch came from. So here the contract deviation is going to be okay. So because there's no material effect. There's no material effect. So someone's not going to be, if they sue for a breach of contract, they're not going to be awarded anything. Question 14, Richley Merchandise Incorporated contracts with Stan Wright Contractors to build a store. Stan Wright assigns the contract to Town Builders, which has a poor record of completing projects. Richley could most successfully argue that the contract cannot be assigned because, and it gives you, again, words that matter. They have Stan Wright assigns the contract to Town Builders, who has a poor record of completing projects. And it's the same as Steph with the basketball shooting free throws and the other company earlier. The reputation matters, so you can't assign it to someone or to another company that does not have the same reputation or better than what you have. So the correct answer here, the assignment will materially increase the risk of non-performance. So there's going to be a breach there. Question 15, Rural Utility Incorporated enters into a contract with Shovel Excavation Service to dig up, replace, and rebury Rural's cable in a certain location. Rural advances Shovel 10% of its cost. If the parties rescind the contract, Shovel's refund of the payment would be, it's going to be restitution. So you're gonna make the person whole or the company whole. So there's going to be restitution for a refund of the payment. And the next question is going to be restitution also, the answer. Samantha pays Orrin $10,000 to design her new goldfish pond. The next day, Orrin texts Samantha to let her know that he was moving far, far away for an awesome new job opportunity. Samantha requires Orrin to repay her the $10,000, also known as restitution. Almost the same exact question, just in a different form. Question 17, which of the following allows sales contracts to limit remedies? And I know the only one that even makes sense there is Uniform Commercial Code. Uniform Commercial Code, and that's on page 278. That allows sales contracts to limit remedies. Question 18, which of the following is a third-party incidental beneficiary? And that's going to be someone who has no rights in the contract. So a third-party incidental beneficiary, and those words matter also. They're not going to be in the contract at all. So it's going to be a step down. Say that I had a life insurance policy and my wife is assigned as the beneficiary. If I die, she gets it. So say that the next person in line would be my son. And then for some reason, my wife, me and my son, this is kind of morbid, get killed in an accident. So the next person would be, probably my mother is alive. So she would be the third party incidental beneficiary, even though she's not even in the contract or not in the life insurance policy. So she's not even mentioned in it, but she'll get it. Question 19. Which of the following is not a requirement for recovery on a quasi-contract that must be showed by the party seeking recovery? And the correct answer is the party acted as a volunteer in conferring the benefit. That has nothing to do with it. So you don't have to, that would not be required to seek recovery. And the correct answer is the party. The correct answer is is not required is the party acts as a volunteer in conferring the benefit. And those not questions are tough. So make sure you read over those and understand them. Question 20. Fran owes Terrence $10,000. Angel owes Fran $10,000. Fran considers unconditionally assigning his rights to Terrence, but decides against it. Nothing changes. It's just a play on words here. Fran's right to the $10,000 from Angel is unchanged. Even if you didn't know anything about law and you're just reading the question, you're going to know that that's unchanged because it gives you a bunch of puffery, and then it comes right back and says, but he decided against it. So nothing changed in that agreement. All right, that's chapter 9. We'll move on to chapter 10, and you guys have the answers, and you'll do great on this final.